stop for a moment. Before you try to become confident, before you repeat affirmations, before you imitate strong people, ask yourself one brutal question. Why do so many people live their entire lives craving confidence, yet die without ever touching it? Ancient Japanese psychology had an answer that modern society avoids because it is uncomfortable. Confidence is not missing from most people. It is buried, deliberately suppressed, and replaced with obedience, fear, and dependence. And the first step toward confidence is not positivity. It is awareness. Dark, honest awareness. The ancient samurai understood something terrifying. A man who needs approval is already controlled. He can be manipulated, redirected, silenced, or provoked simply by threatening his image. This is why confidence was never taught as self-expression, but as self-mastery. They believed that the loud man was the weakest in the room because noise is often a mask for inner instability. When someone speaks endlessly, explains themselves, or seeks reassurance, it reveals a fractured inner state. True confidence, they knew, is felt before it is seen. It enters the room before words do. In ancient Japanese psychology, there is the principle of Heijōshin, the unshaken mind. This was not calm for comfort, but calm under threat. The samurai trained their minds to remain still while facing uncertainty, humiliation, and even death. Why? Because the moment your inner state depends on external conditions, you are no longer free. Modern people believe confidence is about feeling good, but ancient wisdom knew confidence was about not falling apart when things feel bad. The unshaken mind is dangerous because it cannot be easily manipulated. Most people today are not insecure by nature, they are insecure by design. From a young age, they are taught to look outward for validation, grades, praise, attention, approval, likes. Slowly, their sense of self is relocated outside of them. Ancient psychology would say this is the beginning of psychological enslavement. When your worth is decided externally, your confidence becomes fragile. Remove the applause, and the identity collapses. This is why so many people feel empty in silence, because silence forces them to face the self they abandoned. The Japanese concept of Mushin, the empty mind, is deeply misunderstood. It does not mean absence of thought, it means absence of unnecessary attachment. An empty mind is not distracted by fear of judgment, obsession with image, or hunger for validation. Most people fear emptiness because it reveals how little they truly know themselves. They fill their lives with noise to avoid confronting that void. But ancient psychology teaches that confidence emerges from the ability to sit with yourself without escaping. If you cannot tolerate your own presence, no amount of external success will save you. Here is a darker truth rarely spoken. Confidence requires the death of certain illusions. The illusion that everyone must like you, the illusion that you must be understood, the illusion that being rejected means being unworthy. Ancient Japanese warriors accepted rejection as inevitable. They did not personalize it. They understood that rejection often reveals more about the rejector than the rejected. When you internalize rejection, you weaken your psychological structure. When you observe it without attachment, you grow stronger. There is also the concept of kage, the shadow, the part of you you hide, deny, or fear. Ancient psychology did not encourage the destruction of the shadow, it encouraged integration. A man who denies his darkness becomes predictable and weak. A man who understands it becomes controlled and precise. Fear, anger, and doubt are not enemies, they are signals. The confident individual does not suppress these forces, he studies them. This is where dark psychology intersects with wisdom. What you understand, you can control. What you deny, controls you. Modern self-help encourages constant positivity, but ancient Japanese psychology viewed forced positivity as a form of self-deception. The samurai trained to remain centered in discomfort. They understood that confidence is forged under pressure, not comfort. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid growth. When you face it deliberately, your nervous system adapts and fear loses its grip. This is why confidence feels rare, because most people refuse the internal work required to sustain it. Another pillar of ancient thought is Zanshin, awareness without attachment. This principle dismantles one of the biggest enemies of confidence, outcome dependence. When you are attached to outcomes, success, praise, acceptance, your actions become hesitant and fearful. You second-guess yourself, filter your words, and betray your instincts. Ancient psychology teaches that power returns when you detach from results. You act because it aligns with your values, not because it guarantees approval. This detachment is unsettling to others because it signals independence, and independence is intimidating. There is a reason confident individuals are often misunderstood or labeled cold. Confidence does not beg to be liked. It does not soften itself to avoid discomfort. It does not chase validation. This creates tension in social environments built on conformity. Ancient Japanese culture understood this paradox deeply. While harmony was valued, inner sovereignty was sacred. True confidence is quiet rebellion, the refusal to surrender your inner authority to external forces. Discipline, or shugyo, was another psychological weapon. Ancient warriors did not wait to feel ready. They acted according to principle. Discipline trains the mind to trust itself. Every completed action strengthens self-respect. Every abandoned promise erodes it. Over time, confidence becomes structural, not emotional. This is why confident people do not need motivation. They move because movement is who they are. Confidence becomes an identity, not a mood. Here is a darker but liberating realization. No one is coming to validate you. Ancient psychology accepted this early. When you stop waiting to be chosen, approved, or recognized, something shifts. The neediness dissolves, the desperation fades. You begin to move differently, speak differently, and exist differently. This internal shift is often misunderstood by arrogance, by those still seeking permission, but in truth, it is self-ownership. Ancient Japanese wisdom also emphasized solitude, not isolation, but intentional withdrawal. Solitude was seen as a mirror. In silence, weaknesses surface. In stillness, truth emerges. Most people avoid solitude because it confronts them with unresolved inner conflict, but those who endure it gain clarity. Confidence is born in solitude because it forces self-reliance. When you learn to sit with yourself, you stop needing others to define you. Confidence also requires acceptance of impermanence. The samurai lived with constant awareness of death. This did not make them reckless, it made them precise. When you accept that everything ends, relationships, status, reputation, fear loses leverage. You stop clinging, you stop performing, you start living deliberately. This acceptance creates a calm intensity that others feel but cannot explain. At its core, ancient Japanese psychology teaches that confidence is alignment between thought, action, and identity. When these are fractured, insecurity emerges. When they are unified, confidence becomes inevitable. You no longer ask who you should be, you act from who you are. This is deeply unsettling to a world built on comparison and conformity. In the end, confidence is not light, not excitement, not charisma. It is depth. It is the ability to face yourself honestly, accept your shadow, detach from approval, endure discomfort, and act with integrity regardless of outcome. Most people will never experience this level of confidence because it requires the destruction of comforting illusions. But those who do become unshakable, not because they are fearless, but because they are grounded. When you stop chasing confidence and start removing what weakens you, fear of judgment, attachment to approval, avoidance of discomfort, confidence returns naturally, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, steadily, and permanently. And when you no longer ask if you are enough, when you no longer seek permission to exist, when you no longer fear silence or rejection, that is when you become dangerous in the most peaceful way possible.